Hey, welcome to the TMZ podcast. I'm Branson Quirk.
I'm Charlie Neff.
So Charlie has been working, and thank you for coming on today. I know you've been very, very busy, but Charlie has been working on this entire ordeal today. Very tragic news over the weekend. If you are just now seeing this, Hayden Panettiere, I don't want to say it incorrectly.
Hayden Panettiere.
There we go. Died over the weekend, and the details are very tragic. We don't know exactly what happened, but you are here to clear some of that up as far as what we do know.
Yeah, so we've had several updates since you guys heard the original story earlier this morning. So the new update is that the autopsy has been completed. We received a statement from the Greenville, South Carolina county coroner basically saying that the autopsy for Hayden is done. There were no signs of foul play and no trauma on her body. So look, we're trying to rule out what didn't happen, what did happen. But as of right now, no signs of foul play, no trauma on the body. What we do know is yesterday there was a 911 call placed for a woman in cardiac arrest. We know that paramedics arrived on the scene. They did everything they could to resuscitate Hayden. We know that they used advanced cardiac life support measures to basically bring her back. Unfortunately, those measures were unsuccessful.
Typically like a AED, which they would use, shocking and things like that.
Yep. We also know that epinephrine was found on the scene and was administered. Epinephrine is used to basically resuscitate somebody that is experiencing a cardiac arrest, so that would align. We also obtained the dispatch audio. Now, the dispatch audio is interesting because on that you can hear medical personnel talking about a suspected overdose. Look, again, the call originally came in for a woman experiencing cardiac arrest, but now you're throwing in this word potential overdose. And we know that Narcan was found at the scene. If you guys don't know what Narcan is, it's basically administered nasally, and it's meant to reverse the effects of someone experiencing an opioid overdose. It's unclear who that was administered on. And the reason why I say that is because there were two ambulances at the scene. Normally, if there's one person in distress, there would just be one ambulance, but we know that two responded. So now you're factoring in that potentially there could have been two people in distress. However, nobody was transported by ambulance. And obviously we know that Hayden died at the scene. She was pronounced dead at 2:32 p.m. yesterday. And it's just been really just trying to piece together exactly what led up to this death. Now, we know that Hayden was last seen on Saturday, the day before she passed away, with Brian Hickerson, her on and off again boyfriend. And they were together in Los Angeles. They flew to South Carolina, which is where he's from. He's from Greenville originally, which is where she was found deceased. And that is kind of the last known whereabouts we have of her before she passed. Now, if you guys don't remember Brian Hickerson, it's been a very toxic, rough relationship between the two of them. They've been on and off for years. He was arrested for domestic violence at one point at the, towards her. And she was recently promoting a memoir, and I reached out to him to do an interview with him, which I did 3 months ago. And the reason why I spoke with him was because in her memoir, she talked about all the abuse that she faced at the hands of Brian. And at that time, he touched a little on what his thoughts were about her and where their relationship currently stood. Here's a little clip of that.
You and Hayden first started dating in 2018, and it's been a very public relationship. Is there anything you want people to know about you and Hayden's relationship?
Hayden Panettiere is the sweetest thing in the world. It's not about who you spend Saturday night with, it's who you spend all day Sunday with. And Hayden Panettiere is a Sunday girl.
Do you think it's better for her to not be with you?
I think that Hayden Hayden is one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life, and I would be an idiot not to walk away from her and let her flourish in her career. So, we probably wouldn't be good together. I'd like to see what she's gonna do with the next like 30 years of her career. She's, she'll always hold a special place in my heart, and I hope the same for her. But yeah, we're just, just good buddies. Yeah, we're just.
Were they together at this point?
So actually, we just got a little more information. You guys are getting the first peek at that. So as you can tell in this video, he was a little coy about where they stood. He kind of said like they were on good terms, they were still speaking, but we're now hearing that they were together at this time, but did have to distance themselves from each other publicly because she was promoting a book. And it was put to me that Brian was bad for business. And here she's talking about all the abuse that she suffered at the hands of him, and just some of the things that she said just about their relationship were so disturbing, but also just made you think like, how could someone ever continue to be with somebody like this or continue to be in a relationship like this? She did an interview with Jay Shetty during that time as well, talking about how she was in a good place. And so when you're promoting a book, talking about how you're in a great place, we were told that her team told her, you cannot show people that you're still with this guy.
Yeah.
Even though we're now learning they were still together behind the scenes. And she was actually very much a part of his family. Mm-hmm. His family, like I said, they're from South Carolina. They really took her in. She was close with all of them. She really didn't have a relationship with her own family, with her parents. Obviously, her brother passed away, someone who she was close with, and that person is now gone. So her family life was very fractured. And so his family really embraced her, and they did. Obviously, up until the very beginning, she was in South Carolina visiting him.
She looks in this Jay Shetty podcast, she looks very healthy. Like you would never assume, and we know she has substance abuse problems before, but you'd never assume that she was currently maybe going through that at the time. That's the hardest part about this, is that this was such a shock for everybody last night.
Yeah, that was one thing that I was talking to one of the KTTV reporter about today was, on one hand, it is shocking because she just had this memoir. It felt very like she finally came out of all of this. She had a very troubled life. There was a lot of terrible things that happened all throughout her life. And you thought, like, how could someone ever come out of this? And when she completed that memoir, you felt like she did. You felt like she really came out stronger than ever and seemed very complete. However, we're now getting some bits and pieces of information that she had recently been complaining about a lot of pain. She had a lot of back pain. She was seen on crutches not that long ago. And it was also explained to me that when she was writing this memoir, she is having to relive a lot of those traumatic things. And it was really hard for her. I know she confided in a lot of people around her about how hard it was. There was even like a story that she told in her book about how when she was young, she was on this famous woman's yacht, of course, did not name her, and said that this person basically put Hayden in a room with a naked celebrity, basically being like, oh, hook up with him. And there were a lot of icky things that happened to her like that, again, she had to relive when writing this book. And, it is necessary. And I think she said that she felt like great to get it all out of there. But I know it was hard on her.
And, Narcan, just from my experience seeing, footage of what that looks like when you are administering Narcan, not saying like I know exactly what happened or not, but it's like time is of the essence,
Absolutely.
It's and it's very quick, and it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
And you tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't there two stretchers that went in the house?
2 ambulances, 2 stretchers.
So that kind of points to
there being somebody else. Yep.
Overdosing.
And look, we don't know who called 911. We're still looking into that. Of course, we have, we've heard some things that we're working on confirming. But yeah, I mean, we're still looking into it. And I want to say like every hour we're getting new information.
She had such a great career.
An incredible career, very successful.
Which I haven't seen. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't seen Remember the Titans, and I love those kinds of. Movies.
She was unbelievable in Remember the Titans.
She was young in that. She was young.
Very young. That was her breakout role. I mean, look, she did like soaps and stuff before that, and she talked about in her memoir about how she was known for all these soaps that she was doing, but that she was overlooked for the role that she played, the little girl who's the daughter of the coach in Remember the Titans. She was overlooked to be in that role because she was so perfect and cutesy, and that role is like a really gritty child that's like bossy and like has no problem getting her jeans dirty.
Sure.
And so she talked about how she finally was able to get an audition for the role. And the day before her audition, she like fell on her bike or on a skateboard or something and had scraped up her leg. And so they fully used that to their advantage when coming in for the audition. And she had all these bandages on her legs, and she was able to really convince them that she was this gritty girl that could take on this role. And of course, after she did the audition, they're like, "Oh, you got the part, girl. You're meant for this." And that really blew her up. She's been on so many successful TV shows, obviously other movies like the Scream franchise, but a lot of people know her from Heroes, from Nashville. She was so great in.
An underrated one, by the way. No one's talking about today as much. Everyone's saying Remember the Titans and everything, but Bug's Life.
Oh, Bug's Life, right. She played the voice.
The voice
of
for
Dot.
the small ant.
Yep.
In that.
Yeah.
That I'll be honest, that was a pretty big deal.
That was a really big deal.
You can't put the face to the name usually,
right.
but that was a big deal. Pixar was a huge one.
Yep. Incredible career. And I think the saddest part of all of this is that she leaves behind an 11-year-old daughter. She had a daughter with Vladimir Klitschko, very famous boxer. He lives in Ukraine. She really opened up in her memoir about how like having postpartum depression, how she signed over all the rights for Kaya's care.
Can you imagine doing that for your kid?
Very, very tough. And look, there's she had a lot of resentment towards that moment when you read her book, because she claimed that she went to Ukraine and she felt like she was cornered by Vlad and all of his crew, who basically said, "Sign these papers. We're taking your daughter, their daughter." And she felt pressured. And that was something that was very painful for her to talk about. But look, I think it was a good thing for Kaya. And, Hayden was really troubled. And we just don't really know what's going on in someone's life. But her memoir was rather interesting.
And the most heartbreaking part, and we'll end on this, is at the end of this clip, the Jay Shetty podcast, she says, "I have a lot more life to live."
Yeah.
And that was recent.
Yep.
So you never know what people are going through.
Never know.
So it's important to be involved with people, check in on your friends, people that have former abuse or substance abuse. You never know. You just don't. So, well, thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Branson.
Yeah, you will be continuing to investigate this and get more details. And people will check TMZ.com rest of the day, rest of the week, all the updates. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.